Hello. Fucking God. Okay. Sorry. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? My bad. So that's definitely, what do you call it? I will have to edit that. But basically, I was demonstrating how to paint white for people, It was black originally, and then, what do you call it? I was doing a demonstration of how to paint white over the black. And as you can see here, here's black. And then, if you've seen the video, what do you call it? After several thin layers of white, I get a perfect white on top like this. And then for today's, oh my god, okay. I already spent several minutes. But anyways, I guess it doesn't matter too much because, that wasn't really, that was just like, it was a good thing I did that tutorial in the beginning because that was just like a short tutorial if anyone was curious how to, paint white over the black. But for today's streaming, I'll be doing something different where I'll be teaching people several tips and tricks of how I do things. And if you look at the title description, it says I'll be painting how to paint white, how tips and tricks with Gundam markers, skin tone, painting cockpit, and if we have time, painting beam sabers. So the first demonstration of painting white is over. So now I'll proceed to the next lesson, which will be about Gundam markers. And then, what do you call it? This streaming is being recorded. So for people, who wants to see a shortened version rather than like an hour or 2 hour long, streaming section, don't worry about it. I'll get the recording going. So without further ado, let me go to the next step, which will be about Gundam markers. All right. So Gundam markers. The Gundam markers are very interesting because, you know, it's designed to be more fun than practical use, and this is what I mean. And Borger Blord, how are you doing? Because you donated or you gave me a super chat last time, this is for you, my friend. So here are several Gundam markers on the table. I have them separated into two categories, such as, like this. So why did I separate them into two categories like this? So first of all, Gundam markers, in my opinion, is meant to be more fun than like a practical use, in my opinion. Give me a moment. Why is this so crooked? Okay, it's more fun than practical use. So if you're just doing it for fun, it's very fun and dandy. But if you're doing it for like a really serious work, you might have a struggle with it. But anyways, the I have the Gundam markers separated into two categories. One that you can paint over the black, and that's that the one that has like a strong coverage and the one that has the least coverage. And the problem with the ones with the least coverage is that they're mostly the primary colors, such as the red, blue, yellow, white, and some of the fluorescent paints like these. So just to demonstrate to you what I mean, first give it a good shake. I'll do it one at a time. Right. And to paint over this, what do you call it? And I'll be painting it over this black palette. But if you look at it, here's the red paint. It doesn't really, has a nice coverage. As in, like, you could still see the black underneath. And then you can't really paint multiple layers because these paints aren't meant to be paint multiple layers. It's just one coat. And then similar to the blue ones right here, let me just do with the blue one. Same thing, you'll still see the black underneath, so not a good coverage. Yellow, same thing. Actually, it's really atrocious, and this is almost dried up. Actually, no, yeah, it's just really bad. Then white, the most atrocious one. Oh, actually, this one's quite new. All right. And as you can see here, it does have a little bit of better coverage, but then you'll still see the black underneath, so not really recommended. And then the fluorescent color green is just not working at all. And let me just shake it thoroughly a little bit more. Right? So it can cover, but as you can see, you can still see the black underneath. So in terms of bad coverage, red is the top, blue, the yellow might be the second, and then white and yellow might be the next. Right? Monochromatic detail like the eyes. Okay, and I'll demonstrate how to paint the eyes and such. But then what I like about the new color paints, which is mostly metallic, and even though it says metallic, and this is a good example, I have the Cosmo Metallic Blue, Royal Metallic Red, and then Luminescent Metallic Green. Even though they say metallic paints, they're actually they do have a metallic sheen to it, but they're more close to the blue color up there. Oh shit! So like over the black, it has a very nice coverage. Same thing with the red color. It covers much better. Then the green, much better. So even though it has the metallic sheen on it, I pretty much use these Gundam markers as a replacement for the red, blue, green, despite having a metallic sheen to it. Then the other, metallic series, the just a regular metallic red, blue, and green, just to demonstrate these ones, the metallic red goes nicely over the black, the blue, okay, nicely over the black, and then the green, yep, nicely over the black. And then I guess you could see from the screen, how each of the colors pop out. All right, and then the other colors that have a good coverage will be. This is a very weird one. This is the new Gundam marker called the new white, and it's supposed to be it's supposed to have a much better coverage than the regular white. But in my opinion, no matter what I tried, it kind of pulled over. But it does have a better coverage than the white. But in terms of completely covering it, it doesn't do a better job than this one. As in you'll still see some of the color underneath. And then black is black, very boring right there. But it has a very good coverage, so that definitely good. And the gray is my favorite one because there's a lot of parts that uses joints or like gray detail, and this one has a very nice coverage. So gray is one of my favorite colors out there. Then you have the very fun colors. You have the silver one right here, and just give me a moment. Hold on. Then the silver metallic, you have it like this. So, it covers very nicely. Then you have the gold, which covers also nicely over the black. Then you have the shining silver, which tends to be more brighter silver, if it works. Yep, it works. So, it's much brighter than the silver over here. And then you have the fan favorite, the the chrome metallic marker, which, as the name suggests, hold on. If you apply it properly, it's very mirror reflective, as you can see here. Right. White is a hassle no matter what you do, which is why I usually spray it or use Corax white right here to paint white base coat. And then I apologize for the beginning part of the video, but in the intro I was demonstrating how to paint this I was demonstrating how to paint white over the black. So it used to be black like this, but then I hand painted to paint it white like that. So if you guys are curious, go to the beginning of the video and you guys will see it. So why did I bring these over? I brought these over to to show you tips and tricks with how to paint with these markers. And then what do you call it? I'll take this off. Sorry. Okay. Okay. So now I'll be using this entry grade Gundam model to do the tricks. Alright, and what's nice about this kit is that you could just snap them off. All right. So now let me just move these markers away. Oops, sorry, Miko. Sorry, Miko. Okay. All right. So now you may be curious, well, how would you, paint with Gundam markers? Like, what's the point of using them? And the point of using them is that they're quite fun to use. And then I'll demonstrate that right now. So one of the favorite thing Gundam modelers like to do is to paint the eyes of the Gundam. So as you can see here, let's see. As you can see here, you have the eye right here. And let me just zoom in with the camera as well. Zoom in with the camera. As you can see here, you have the eye right here, and then the eye right here too. I think the camera was supposed to be red, so I'll leave that alone. But then let's try painting the eyes right here. So the first step I want to do is I would like to use black to base coat the black detail. So simple enough. I'm just gonna put it into the palette, let it soak. Then get myself a brush. Oops. So I get myself a palette like this. Get a brush. Dip in the paint a little bit more. Okay. So I'm gonna do this in camera, and sorry, I apologize if it's hard to see. But I'm gonna apply this with a brush. So I'm gonna scoop up onto the brush, and then just carefully apply it into the eyes. And what's nice is that because markers tend to be very liquidy, it fills in very nicely, just like that. As you can see here, it just paints in just like that. Now give it a moment for the marker to dry, and then we can move on to the next step. In terms of cleaning your marker brush, the brush you use to paint the Gundam marker, what I like to do is I would like to use a lacquer thinner inside right here. Just rinse it off. And then just wipe it clean. All right. I like to use a brush because it gives me a lot more control over where I apply the, where I apply the colors on. All right. And the next step, this is entirely preference, but you could apply fluorescent green or yellow on top, and then I guess more accurately, it would be like a pinkish or yellow. But in this case, I want the color to pop a little bit, so I'll be using gold just as a personal preference to paint over the eyes. So I'll give myself a gold right here, just, get a little dip. Scoop it up with your brush again, but you don't want too much on your brush. And then what you want to do is you just want to gently just touch the surface. Right. So instead of like you're brushing it on, you're actually just tapping it onto the surface. So instead of like brushing it on, you're just tapping it onto the surface, such as this. So then, the paint will go on. And the reason why you don't want to brush it on is because with Gundam markers, it's very susceptible to, get brush marks. So it's very easy to peel off the paint if another Gundam marker gets painted over the top. So that's why if you're applying another color on top, you want to tap on the color instead of like brushing it on to avoid peeling the color underneath, to get ruined. So that's the eye. So now I guess we could finish up the rest of the details for the face. So I'll just clean this up really quick. And then let's see. What the heck? Oh. guys. My room is a mess. Alright. And then you have your favorite Gundam markers right here to help you, paint the rest of the areas. So let's see. I guess I could use this. Hopefully it's not dried up. Kind of dried up. I'm sorry, give me one moment. I'll be right back. And if you guys are curious, how I record my videos, it's pretty much like this very hectic, unorganized, messy crap. But I think everyone can relate, hopefully. Alright. And then I guess I'll just use the C-pin type Gundam marker to fill in the, the seam line, or the panel line. Alright. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this marker right here. Sorry, like the video and the camera's like way off, but this is how I roll. So I'm just gonna do one for the camera, let it see, and then one for the stream in here, let it see. All right, and then just like that. Let the color just flow, let it seep in. Same thing up here, over here. All right. Oops. All right. Then same thing here. Just let it seep into the recesses. All right. Seep into the recesses as such, and then let it dry, and everything should be all good. And then I think I'm missing a piece. How do you rehydration? Let me see. How do you rehydrate your dry Gundam marker? So that I'm not sure, because whenever whenever my Gundam marker gets dried, I usually just buy another one. Because usually, if it gets dried up, I'll use like a lighter to, melt the paint. But that's not a really good suggestion, because these are alcohols, so you're not only are gonna, fire up the paint, but you're gonna possibly blow yourself up too. So, if you have a dried up Gundam marker, just throw it away and get another one, because I know Gundam markers now these days are really hard to get, but in terms of I think, getting a new one might be better in this case. Alright. And hello Kevin, how are you doing? Today I am demonstrating several steps with, tips and tricks. And in this case, I'm just demonstrating how to, paint with Gundam markers. And in this step, what I'm doing is I'm getting this special green energy solution extract that can be used to wipe off, paint without damaging the plastic. And if you wish to know what this green solution is, well, let me tell you once I get this cleaned up. But this special green solution has been my favorite now because of how easy it is to use. But just like that, this special green solution is very simple, easy to use, and I've been using it very often in all my commission to, fix up line like this. Emperor Kiva, what's up? Go ahead. Quick question. What's the quick question? Let me answer quickly too. And then to answer you folks, this green solution is known as simple green. It's literally that. It's used to. Oops. It's used to clean up resin models, but it can also be used to what do you call it? It can also be used to what do you call it? Melt paint, as in like remove paint from the model. So for example, if you were to repaint, if you want to repaint a model, people recommend the simple green to touch it up. But in my case, I use this simple like I put a lacquer paint, lacquer gloss coat, um, first before I do any paint job in order to do a touch up like this. But in this case, because I'm applying it over the plastic, there's no paint underneath to protect. So I could just use this simple green to wipe off the excess paint very easily without consequences. And then, let's see. Do you think it's possible to use Posca markers of Gundam ones? Diluted 110? No, this is not diluted. This is straight. So you can definitely use, I think, I'm not quite sure what the Posca markers is, but honestly, if it's like an alcohol-based markers, which tends to be most markers, then I would like to say yes. You can indeed use those markers, but I'm not too sure because I never used those markers before. So I would like to say good luck in trying and let me know, how they go out for you. It seems a little bit irresponsible, but if I don't know the answer, I would not want to give you an answer that I don't, that even I don't know. And I guess the solution kind of wiped off an excess, and because I didn't really clean the nub mark, it actually got stuck in where the nub mark was. So that's unfortunate, but in terms of what I'm gonna do today, it doesn't need to be thorough. It just needs to get the job done just enough. All right, and then just to touch it up a little bit, I'm going to apply it right here. Hold on, like that. What's also nice is that you see this red part right here, right? This camera lens right here. So what I'm gonna do is I would like to get that painted too, but I would like it vibrant. So instead, I'll use this Gundam Marker metallic red to paint in that detail. So get these excess things away just to make it look organized, which isn't really organized. All right. Get some onto the brush. All right. And I just need to apply it into it. All right. Same thing onto the camera lens. All right. Sorry if I don't, what do you call it? Respond to your comment a lot today because today's demonstration is mostly just me showing you guys how to paint this. And honestly, I need to set up this a little bit better because my camera and the phone is in a little different position, so it's kind of hard to, move around and such. But I also have this special Q-tip from Tamiya, which has a very hardened, what do you call it, cotton at the end. So this has more, it doesn't frail as easily, and it doesn't absorb too much solution. So it's very optimized for, cleaning up mistakes. And this, I think you will see most people use this Q-tip whenever they're like cleaning up as well. But what the problem with metallic paint is that it contaminates other areas really easily. So as you can see here already, the metallic paint kind of spread throughout the model. So now I'll be spending an extra moment trying to clean that up. But you get the idea of me just trying to clean up the area with simple green. And what's nice about simple green is that, it's not that harmful, as in like, it's a little bit, nah, it is harmful, I guess, but make sure you don't drink it though. It's almost like a detergent, okay? So now I'll try to clean up this red part a little bit more, and then I'll read the comments in a bit. Just give me one moment. Let me just clean this up. Oh shit, it went in. So then I'll just use this Q-tip to just clean the outside. Alright, so I don't see any red. So even though you'll see the nut marks, this is pretty much good. So now, the moment of truth, let's assemble this Gundam marker. I mean, not assemble the Gundam marker, but let's start assembling the parts together. And these are very tiny parts. Alright, hopefully I'll get this right. I don't have any instructions on me right now, but I want to be touching with Gundam markers. Just be careful you're not putting too much pressure. So in this case, once I put it right there, okay. Actually, I'm gonna be smart. I'm gonna place it the other way around, so the camera is in a weird position. So it's gonna go in this way. As such, I'll just push it in. Put this on. Oh, I just noticed that this part needs a Gundam marker. Give me one moment. Okay. I just realized this part needs a 2, so really quickly. Alright. Let's see. And then get myself the Q-tip. And then what have you guys been saying? I use Posca marker on gloss coated model kit to do decal. Oh, nice. Okay, it was safe to submerge a Gundam part in simple green for like 8 hours to help strip the paint. So that's what people have been saying. I never tried it before, but my friend has been doing it, and I guess, rather than 8 hours, just let it soak for a day to complete, to get it out thoroughly is what my friends who strip model tells me to do. And then let's see. Next year I can't find Gundam markers where I live, but Posca. Okay. So yeah, if Gundam marker isn't available in your region and you could find an alternative, definitely use that. Honestly though, even with Posca markers, I think the simple green will still work. Like the simple green effect will still work because simple green tends to strip pretty much any paint. So yeah, this technique on this technique will definitely still work with Posca marker. So do try it out. I think it should work because it did work for like the other paints I've tried, but if it's like protected by a gloss coat of lacquer, it should be fine. So let's see, or just gloss coat in general. So I apply like that. Put on the V fin. And attach the red piece. And voila! So on the camera like that. And then on the stream, just like that. Even though I only use Gundam markers, and you can see the seam line, it looks already good in particular. And this is what I mean by Gundam markers just for fun, because you could do like a lot of stuff of using enamel paint, etc., to paint all the panel line and details, but Gundam markers are a very simple tool to get a very nice finish. So just like that with Gundam markers, if you just want to have fun, get it done quickly, I highly recommend it, and I have so much fun painting with Gundam markers. So this is just how you paint with Gundam markers, but there's still more to Gundam markers. So the next question is, what would you want to do if you want to paint large surfaces? And this is what I mean. Right now, I have a Zaku head right here, and then you may be wondering, well, crap, let's see. How do I paint this surface? Because if you were to paint normally with a Gundam marker, let's see, where did my red paint go? Where did oh, there it is. It's underneath here. Because what you will notice is that if you were to paint like a large surfaces like this, you could paint it. But the problem is you'll have like a brush mark if you're continuously doing it. Like that. Like you'll see well actually this is, I might be lying. Oh no, so you won't get like an even surface across. as you notice here. Well, it's hard to tell by the camera, but you won't get like an even like, surface across. So let me just wipe this off really quickly. So just using a simple green to strip the paint off. If I can. If I can, it's good enough. And that's the thing about Gundam Markers though, is that even though I put a simple green on top of it, it's actually hard to like, take it off as well. So Gundam Markers like tends to stay on the surface very well even without primer. So that's what I want to show you guys too. So this is what happens, typically if you're not careful and you have but basically, if you were to paint it by hand, with a marker on large surfaces, you won't get like a smooth coat. So in order to paint with Gundam markers over large surfaces, you want to, let's see, use a Gundam marker. So let me just get a white paper, such. So then this will be a demonstration of how to use Gundam markers. So first of all, I have a Gundam marker hose ready, like this. So I have a Gundam marker hose ready like this. Alright. And then the setup is very easy. I have it attached to my air compressor, which I'll turn it on right now. And then if you have a Gundam marker airbrush attached to a hose, usually that's enough. You don't need to adjust the PSI. But if you're putting it onto an air compressor, you would want to adjust the PSI to 30 PSI. Hold on. No, wrong way. Alright. So basically you want like a high pressure. So just to show, it's blowing onto my hand, right? So now what you want to do is you shake it up, take it out, and when you're inserting it, make sure the marker is in, like imagine an imaginary line coming from the hose, and then just adjust the marker in that position, and then it should be good enough. Then once you spray it, it sprays out like that. Ooh, shoot. Oh crap, I didn't know the mist would be this bad. Like, it wasn't like that before. Holy crap, why is it so misty right now? Okay, change of plans. So I'm gonna use a paper towel to catch it. Okay, so now oh boy. And then if it seems to dry a little bit, just, squeeze the tip out, put it back in. Well, that was a horrible demonstration. Normally it would have worked better, but basically if you want to paint large surfaces, Gundam marker airbrush is the way to go, and then you get a finish just like this. And I'm kind of worried about the fume that actually blew out because it wasn't like this before, so I'm kind of worried why it suddenly did that today. And when you blow it with a Gundam marker airbrush, it actually takes a little bit longer for it to dry, so just let it wait for a while. And this is how you want to paint with a Gundam marker airbrush, and just like that, it's quite clean. And then you don't want to apply multiple coats. You only want to apply it in one coat, like one coat in one blast, and be done with it. If you were to apply like 2 coats, you'll start to create like texture on the surface, which did kind of happen with this one. So just be careful when you're doing with a Gundam marker airbrush. And that's how you typically paint with red, yellow, blue, and other color that tends to have a bad, coverage, is with a Gundam marker airbrush, because then, it's kind of funny how airbrush works, but even with a bad coverage, with an airbrush, it actually has a very nice coverage. So I highly recommend this method. An up close view, here you go. So you notice the bumps, and that's because I applied the second coat while the paint was dry. But usually if you were to do like the one quick thick coat, you'll have a very clean, like smooth surface. So this was a little bit of failure, but then in terms of what I wanted to show, I think it, show you guys at the point. Yeah. Gundam marker do not like to be layered at all, and I learned that the hard way too. Like I was because usually with painting, you definitely want to, you know, apply multiple layers, like to get like a nice coverage or like a smooth gradation, etc. Or make it thin. But with Gundam markers, it's the opposite, where you want to apply just one coat, and it's the same thing with pretty much any marker pen. So that's like an FYI if you want to start, if you want to do with a different point. Actually, kind of good, probably because it's fresh, but like it's kind of smooth, right? But I will reiterate my point again. If you are gonna paint with markers, just remember that markers are for fun. Like really quick, easy, fun thing to do. But if you were to do something really technical and serious, it might not be the best suited for doing that. But that is what I want to demonstrate for Gundam markers, and thank you so much, Borgerbor, for donating a super chat last time. Unfortunately, with how YouTube's monetization works, I can't get the money just yet. But I wanted to show you how to do that, because I remember last time you told me to you wanted to see how that works. So thank you so much for watching, and then once you guys are ready, I'll proceed to the next step, which is, let's see, painting skin tones. Okay. So unfortunately, the person who requested that about skin tone isn't here, but that doesn't stop me from demonstrating this next step. So in this next step, I'll demonstrate how to paint skin tones, and then let me just flip this over. All right. So in this next step, I'll show you guys how to paint face or skin tones in general. So skin tones are very unique, issue that a lot of people have, and that's because maybe you may never study skin tones or color in general, but in that case, my recommendation is get a set like this. So whenever you do a skin tone, like usually like a painting brand will have a set like this where it will tell you the base coat, the layer, and the highlight. And similar with like a Mr. Hobby paints and Tamiya paints, they'll usually have it in this kind of set of 3. So that's the order of step you want to do. Let's see. Wait, I didn't donate anything, I think it was... No, you did donate. Like, you gave me super chat, no? Yeah, you gave me super chat last time. Well, if it's not, I'll still thank you anyways. But anyways, let me demonstrate how to do the skin tone, but let me just turn off the camera. And then turn it back on. Alright? So, hello everyone, I'm I.R.O. This will be the third part and how to demonstrate tutorial. And then in this demonstration, I'll be demonstrating how to paint skin tones. And hopefully I'll do this correctly, because I do have a little bit of struggle with skin tone on like larger surfaces. But without further ado, let's get to it. The first step I want to do with skin tone is using, like the base coat skin tone, which in this case would be Bugman's Glow, or like a really dark skin tone, usually to indicate the skin or like the blood underneath. So first, give the paint a good mix. Alright. And then I'm just gonna get the other paints ready as well. And then the last one here. Alright. So now I have 3 paints ready. So then it'll be easier for me to demonstrate on this tiny figurine right here. But then I know most people carry like a like the 30-minute sisters or frame arm girls from Megami device. So then I'll also demonstrate on here too. It'll be a little bit harder to demonstrate on this one because I'll be demonstrating this by hand. So the first thing I want to do is I want to grab some of the paint right here and then apply it onto the palette. And I won't be needing too much, but just enough that I can apply multiple coats. And then make sure I thin it down with water. Okay. That's good. And I'll just turn that off. So, the first step is applying a base coat. And then in terms of applying the base coat, I'll be applying this tiny face right here. And then I'm sorry for you guys, but you guys have to see it there. But the first thing to do for the skin tone for this girl is painting it to the face. And I usually, whenever I paint these kind of models, I kind of like to paint what's inside, like what's the most the detail that's inside the figure. So then whenever I paint the other detail, I could work my way outwards. So she has a face right here, so I'm gonna paint that. And then I guess there's also her hands right here, so let me just paint that as well. Well, I guess she's wearing a glove. It's really hard to tell. No, she's wearing a white glove. Never mind. But her thighs are a little bit exposed, so she's wearing a let's see, stocking. So then, what do you call it? From her picture, which I can't really show. Because due to copyright issue, she does have her thighs revealed right here. So then, right here, this is my first coat. It doesn't cover it completely, but if that's okay, because I'm going to apply multiple layers to get a very solid base coat. Now, same thing here. I'll apply this base coat onto her face, and then just be very liberal about it, and then apply it all over the place. And you might be wondering, hey, I have the hair, in the way. Wouldn't that, be in the way? Kinda yes, kinda no. Honestly, if you're figure painting, you get used to it. So in this case, it doesn't bother me too much. But what's gonna bother me is if I don't, apply this layer thoroughly throughout the entire face. So this will be the first coat. It looks kind of ugly, but then you want to leave it like this for now. As in, let it dry. And then we'll apply multiple layers on top. Hold on. Sorry guys, I'm just checking the skin tone really quick. Alright. Now I'll apply a second coat on this figure right here. Now it still has the black showing underneath, so I'm going to apply possibly a third coat to get a very solid base coat. And then, but this one is still drying, so I'm going to use my airbrush. Oh, there it is. To dry up the speed time a little bit. Alright, the part has been dried, so then I'll get my paint ready. Hey, Aki, what's up? Today I am demonstrating how to do several things, and now the next step is, in this demonstration I'm showing people how to, do the skin tones. And this was highly requested by chat, so if chat comes back, then, this will be for him. And to avoid brush marks, I'm going to leave it like that. But this will be the second coat. The second coat. Okay. Now let this coat dry. So as you notice here, it's like a very repetitive and mundane, steps. But in order to ensure, no brush marks and quality, you know, it's not just one match. You know, you don't magically paint one coat. You want to do like multiple layers to get a very solid coat, or you know, to achieve like certain gradients and highlights. All right. So now for her, the coat is quite thorough. So then this will be good enough. All right, and then same thing for her. I shall apply this coat on top. Now for larger surfaces, because it needs more coverage, I'll be applying like multiple, like a little bit more coats to get it thoroughly over this large surface. All right. Now I'm going to do a little bit of skipping step. If I had an airbrush, this next step will be easier, but because I'll be doing it by hand, this will be a challenge for me as well. So the next step, I'm going to get the brightest of the skin tone, like of this one, and then I'm actually going to sketch the areas that will have the brightest point. So then it'll be in the forehead, the cheeks, something like this, and then maybe the chin area. And honestly though, this might not be the correct way of doing it, um, but always use a reference to understand where the paint will go. But as you can see here, it's not the prettiest. He looks very ugly right now, but then don't worry about it. This is just a rough sketch. But if you weren't, but for larger surfaces, I want this rough sketch in order to get a good grasp of where the highlight would go for this model right here. So then I'm going to apply a second coat to get, to apply like a cleaner coverage. Then her forehead right here, as such, and then maybe her chin a little bit, and maybe around her nose as well. So this one will take a lot of steps, so that's why I'll do this in like a video. But for this demonstration, I'll show how to paint skin tone with this figure right here. Okay. So in my next step, what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab this paint right here, 1 scoop, 2 scoop, then mix this paint, 1 scoop, 2 scoop, and then mix it almost 50-50 together like this. And then I want to like thin it. It kind of looks like she's wearing a face mask. Honestly though, it looks ugly right now, but then if you see, so this is what I'm trying to achieve with this small figure, and then I'll do this small figure instead because it's easier for me to demonstrate what I'm going to do. So in this next step, I'm going to slowly create a highlight for this figure. So then I'm going to apply this highlight towards her thigh where the lights would be the brightest, and then her face as well. Or imagine where they, and for the face, I could add, it could be a little bit more contrasting, but notice how the thigh just got a little bit brighter, like that. So then I'll be applying, small highlights on top of each other so to bring that, highlight on top gradually. And then once that's done, then I'll bring out 100% of this color. That's too thin. It's a little bit too thin, so let me just add a little bit more paint to it. Okay. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to apply this highlight on top of her thigh again. And then in this case, I'll actually paint her face detail. And so basically right now I'm hitting her nose, her cheeks, her forehead, if I could reach it, and her chin as well, because that's the most raised areas. and then rinse and repeat on their thigh again, just to get like a better, what do you call it, better highlight and the coverage. And then I'm trying to make sure it doesn't hit this line right here where the what do you call it, where the socks meet, because of the pressure. You know how like in most anime illustration, you know, whenever this part meets, it tends to be a little bit reddish because of pressure. Oh, thank you so much for coming by. And yeah, right now today I'll be just demonstrating how to do a few tips and tricks. And in today's showcase, I did how to paint white, like tips and tricks with Gundam markers. And right now I'm doing a demonstration of doing skin tones. All right, just so I could see what's going on. Okay, so now I have that highlight going on. Now you can see the highlight. It's very subtle, but if you look at it from the other side, like this part right here, notice how there's a gradation going on from like the original very dark skin tone to the brighter skin tone. So by mixing the paint 50-50 and then working your way up towards the highlight area where the light hits, you want to create that gradation effect by layering on top of each other. And then if you want to be more thorough, you would want to add the paint, instead of mixing 50-50, it would be like 75 to 25, 50-50, then 25 to 75, and then 100 in that order to get a much smoother, transition going on. And in this case, it would have been the same case for her as well, but because it's on like a large surface area, you'll notice the gradation won't be as pretty if you were to, have a very big ratio of paint. So in this case, whenever you're painting, let me just go back to the original color. So because it'll be her cheek and the chin that'll be highlighted and her nose, I'm just going to touch this area up a little bit. And then I'm going to use this mixture that I have right here to apply it onto her cheek, her nose. And honestly, in her, she wouldn't have like such a strong, like a, what do you call it, shadow where that is. So I'm just going to apply it like that. Okay. And then I would want to apply the highlight on top. So then notice how, this is like a very rough sketch, but notice how, by doing that, you slowly add a little bit of like a smooth, like blending the transition into the skin tone. But this is still an ugly step, so hopefully, if I were to make a video, it would be much more thorough. But the idea is to, slowly build up the highlight, you blend the colors in, and then get the skin tone. And then just be careful where you want to have like a dark shadow, because right now I ignored this area because for this one, I kind of did that too. But on like a larger surfaces, it's much more noticeable, so then I'll be putting a mid-tone in between. So then, now in this next step, you see that her highlight's going up. So now in the next step, I will add the brightest one, but then I'm not going to add it purely. I'm going to mix it in with the previous paint right here. And then the face, I could be a little bit more, stark. But for her thigh, I'm going to highlight. So basically the light will be hitting from this direction, this way. So then I'm going to make sure the top area, and then it's going to reach in a little bit more to the center. So then, to create the illusion that light's hitting from this direction. And then her face, I will add this highlight where it's the most prominent area. Okay. And then I'm going to apply a second layer at this, where imagine the light, will reflect on the cylindrical object. Okay. Like that. And then once I have that ready, no, don't worry about it. But basically, I was just showing that the skin tone process. It's just like a small. If you were to paint it by hand, it's a very gradual and slow process of slowly mixing the paint into the previous color or the base coat, and then working your way up. But for the reason I'm doing it on a small object like this is because it's much easier to do the gradation on like a small object compared to like a larger model such as this one, and you can already see that it has a very rough surface. But that's because for like a larger area, you will you want to be careful. You want like a larger brush to paint in the highlights and work your way with the gradation slowly by slowly. I could do it in this next stream, but to sell you guys the idea, I'm just gonna do it in this small model, and then you guys can see the result from there as well. So I'm going to get this brightest color, and then I'm going to apply this extreme highlight, as you would say it, and then limit it in a more concentrated area to show that light's hitting the most, like to show the brightest point in light. And then I'm going to paint the face as well, so if you look at it closely, her face is starting to pop out a lot more. And then because I'm viewing from distance, I kind of missed some few spots, but overall, it's like good enough. And then just apply the same coat. Alright, and then almost now I'm just stippling on the paint right now. And as such, as you can see here, the highlights are on top where I think the light hits, like that. So the light's hitting over here, and the light's hitting over here, just to be consistent where direction is. And then in terms of like the cheeks and the face, is like hitting them where the most raised areas is. So I hope you could see the highlight and the gradation that's going over there. And then the problem with this is that the gradation isn't that smooth. So if you think it's not smooth, then you can always go back to your previous color, and then push the paint back into the previous area, and then create your gradation that way too. So then I'm going to go back to my previous mixture right here, and then I'm going to push the paint into the into more to the recesses, so I could have more volume where I want the volume to be. And then on the face, I kind of want a little bit more contrast, so I'm going to add this the darkish tone, the skin tone, into the recesses to make to create more volume to the surface. And then if it's too much, you just go back and forth between each color and then sell the gradation. Alright, so as you can see here, hopefully this sells the trick, but let's see, the camera, the lighting is really bad, so I apologize in advance. But basically, if you could see where her thigh is, you could see that there's like a gradation going, like there's like a transition from like very like a dark skin tone to the bright skin tone. And then if you change the direction, you don't see that. But then if you look at the other direction, you start to see this the change in shadow of skin tone again. So you want to, so by doing this mixture of paints, you're pretty much doing what you're doing with an airbrush technically. So if you were to ask, well, if you had an airbrush, would this step be much easier? The answer is yes. So I definitely recommend you guys investing in an airbrush. But if not, and you want to do it by hand, just remember to slowly build up your highlights. And if the transition is rough, then you can always go back to the previous paint and then fix up the the transition. So that's what I wanted to demonstrate to you guys today for skin tone, and hopefully that advice, even though it's a little bit vague in some aspect, will be good enough for you guys. But don't worry, I'll be making a video recording of this, and then hopefully it'll help you guys out. So thank you for watching, and then I'll move on to the next step, which is painting Cockpit. So this will be a very, very fun one. Alright. So I know many of you are aware that some model kits come with a cockpit, right? So let me just do this in the video really quick. So I have a cockpit right here. So this is a 1/100 scale, cockpit for a ground Gundam. And I know most people don't paint this, but then it just adds so much character and detail to the model if you were to paint this area. So for today, I'll be, doing a demonstration of how to, paint this. So This model is based off of the main character in the 08 MS team. So I'll be painting this guy in that color scheme per se. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to attach this model. Alright. So what I'm going to do is I'm going, because it's such a tiny model I almost lost it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to attach this model to this stick. And I'm not too worried about painting the other side. So I'm going to attach it to the stick. And one for the video, one for the stream. This. Alright. Now I bought some paints for this occasion. So the first color I'll be using is Storm Vermin Fur, or no, not that one. Not Mechanicus. Oh, there it is. So the first paint I'm going to use is Skaven Blight Dinge. Skaven Blight Dinge. Oh, Shira Amada, the badass that defeats Azaku with a traps and normal sized bazooka. Yep. So the paint's already pre-mixed, so I'm going to, get some paint onto my palette. Oops. Instead of this way, I guess I'll just switch it over like this. And thank you for mentioning that, because now I could research really quickly. Oh, there it is. So yeah, so let me do one. Oh, hold on. Out of battery. Excuse me. Now, let's see. There we go. Oh shit. Alright, let me just replace the battery really quick, because these cameras tend to run out of battery really quick. Alright, so now let me do a demonstration of how to paint this guy. So apologies in advance, because, of how the camera set up, like, it's hard to record both in one. Yeah, let's see. I wonder if I could push this a little bit more this way. Okay, yeah, I could do that. I could definitely do that. So, now I'll be painting this model right here. So the first step is definitely base coating his clothes. So one, I'll be using Skaven Bright Dinge just to give like a general base coat around his entire body. And then I have his reference picture next to me, so I'll definitely use that as a reference. But for now, I'll, give it like a base coat like this. Not worried about, being messy here. I just want to get this base coat on, and then once that's done, then I'll apply like different colors. But it's very simple. Like, just look at that. Already right there, his clothes is pretty much done right there. Super surprised. Hiya. Hey, what's up, Onyx? How are you doing? Right now I'm demonstrating how to paint cockpit of the the cockpit and the pilot of a 100 scale model, and that's so far like that. Let's see. Okay, so while that's drying, let me get other paints ready. Let's see. I will need Rhinox hide. Crackstone. Siege and Trap. Oh, Gorthor Brown. Okay. And then let's see. guess I want some red, so I want some Mephiston red. Then mixing it with orange, okay. And then I guess I could want some blue, so let me just get in some blue color. Yeah, Cantor blue, okay. So I got several paints ready, and there's a reason why for that. Doing fine, continue more RG, hi new, still on the legs, mind you. No problems, man, take your time. Alright, so going back to this, let me just finish base coating the clothes really quick. Alright, so now I'm going to paint the rest of the clothes. And that's good for his clothes. And then next, he has like, you know, some areas that are black, some areas that are, you know, skin tone and brown. So then I'll work on those as well. In terms of where the skin tone is, I'll use the skin tone from the previous demonstration on his face. Well, actually, no, I'll wait. Let's see. Okay, I see it. So he has this t-shirt, you know, underneath his jacket. So I'm going to paint that area in white, such as this. And don't worry about getting it onto the face because we can always go back and fix that. So far that's what I see in his clothing. So just, you know, clean it up. And notice how I'm using like a little bit big brush to do this, and that's because you really don't need like a tiny brush to get the job done. You can use pretty much any brush as long as you have a straight pointy tip as such. Okay. Hey, what's up, Jacob? How are you doing? Currently demonstrating how to paint this tiny pilot. And this was actually not a request, but what do you call it? What was his name again? Basically, a good friend I hang out a lot in Instagram. You know, asked me how I paint like tiny figures. So this is for him. So now I'm going to paint the face, the skin. And I'm not too worried about not getting it the first try because I can always apply multiple layers to get there. And granted, because you know it's such a tiny figure, it doesn't have all the excellent detail, but that's where you want to start improvise and you freehand all the detail in. So already right there, you can already see, you know, the colors are getting there and the pilot's getting painted as such. So let me just get more paint of the skin tone. Okay. And then just apply it to the model. All right. So far so good. The next step, I'll be painting the black details, and then this I'll be using Vallejo black, and I don't need too much. And I'm gonna switch my paint just a little bit because this bristle starts to give in, so I'm just gonna use like a different paint with like a sharper tip. Thin down the paint. So now I'll start paint the hair. I won't lie, it almost feels like Jackie Chan for some reason with the hairstyle. From a distance anyways. Right? And I accidentally got some onto his face, but I can always fix that up later. And then from the looks of it, let's see. Oh, okay. So he has this black stripe looking thing over here. Okay, that's good enough. Alligator clips are really nice. Definitely recommend. And then I'm going to touch just a touch up on the skin area where it kind of messed up. Okay. And then I didn't notice this, but it's actually what do you call it? A belt strap. You know, because he's a pilot on the Gundam, always have a safety belt. So I'm going to do a base coat of that onto the model. So then, first his shoe. All right. Hold on. Let's see. Ah, the camera lighting looks much better now. I should have done this sooner. And then a belt strap around his body, you know, for safety. Make sure you guys wear a safety belt as well while you're driving or going somewhere. It will save lives. All right. So this is Shiro Amada from 08 MS team. And then right now I'm painting the pilot and the cockpit. So now I'm just going to fix up his face a little bit more because it's kind of look ugly. Alright. Now, the pilot is almost done, but I'm going to leave it here for now because in the next step I want to paint this part of the cockpit. So, I'm going to paint this part of the cockpit, getting some paint onto the palette. There we go. So now, first things first, what do you call it? The back seat, I'm looking at the reference photo right now, it's actually almost like a leather. So first I'm going to paint this Rhinox side as a brown base coat. And I guess the seat can be leather as well, so let me just, make this brown. Okay. And then, let's see. Everything else is almost like grayish, so then I'm going to paint the other area on top like gray as well. Let's see. Be back shortly. Okay, take care, man. I mean, the archive will be here, so I'll be streaming. But the purpose of this is to appease to the both a streaming audience and the video audience. So hopefully, once I'm done with this, I'll make the videos and then post it. Hey Gamma! Oh yeah, it's Gamma. This is for you, man. Remember how you asked me how to paint tiny stuff? So this is what I'm doing right now. I'm painting like a tiny pilot right now, and I'm doing I did like several other demonstrations of like skin tone and various other stuff, but this is for you, man. I remember you constantly asked. Well, you constantly asked me how I paint tiny stuff. So this is it. This is the tiny stuff that you were asking for. And yeah, this is the pilot for the Gundam mobile suit. Okay. But how are you, man? I'm back for streaming and then also gonna upload some videos, if I, don't be lazy. That's the only thing I just need to be careful of. Alright. Then just apply a second coat. And I guess I'll paint this part too. This is actually 100 scale. It's actually much bigger than you think. And sorry if I'm being a little bit quiet. It's actually such a small detail. It's actually making me a little bit quiet too. But feel free to still chat. I'm still right here, and hopefully, I'll get this through before you guys get bored. Right. There's no background music, so feel free to play your own music, um, and then listen to it too. So basically, this is what I have for the cockpit. I could have been a little bit cleaner, but then I'm gonna. Maybe I should paint the sides as gray as well. Not quite sure if you'll see it, but then again, like you don't really see the cockpit, so why not? So yeah, might as well paint the cockpit, like the side of the cockpit, gray as well. Let that dry, and then paint this part. And I have a special surprise for you guys. What I'm gonna do for the rest of it. All right. Is this red getting onto the model? Because if that's the case, that's kind of bad. Okay. Sorry, Miko. Sorry. Okay, let's see. Start from sepia, Reikland flesh shade, Agrax, earth shade. Where are you? Okay, there it is. Let's see. These model paints are water-based. This is water-based acrylic paints, yes. Don't worry, Andrew, I feel the same when doing something to get quiet. but I'm also recording this as I'm doing it. So, you'll see me uploading these, you'll see me upload the stream of this soon in the future, if I'm not being lazy. And then the other problem I have is that my desk is a little bit disorganized. I need to organize it in the future. Yes. And I have tons of like this clip, so it doesn't hurt me to cut it off. So I'm just gonna use the clip to put the clip on. Okay. Okay. Put it onto the palette and then apply it to the sides. Okay. So the cockpit is slowly getting it done. And then while that's drying, I'm going to apply some shade. So now I'm going to use Agrax Earthshade right here to shade the pilot. If I can find him. Yes, there he is. And because I don't want it to be spilled over, I'm going to use this holder right here to hold the paint in place. And then just apply this Agrax Earthshade all over the model. And don't worry about it. And it actually fills into the line, so it's almost like a pen washing or panel lining, but like very messy way. And the reason I'm doing it is because I want to add like a highlight later. Right. All right. So that's the shading going on. You see like that. So now I'm excited to, paint the highlight on this guy, but then that's for another time. Now for this one, I'm not gonna do the shading just yet, but then I'm gonna start painting these panels right here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get this Mephiston red, get the paint on the palette, not too much because I don't need that much, and then this one I actually need like a smaller brush because this one starts to give in and starts to get a pointy tip. So now I'm going to get like a small brush with like a good tip, load it up, and then the excess on my fingertip, and then I'm going to start painting the buttons. Alright, the same thing on the other side. And don't worry about making a mistake. I kind of made a mistake right there, but because it's it's a base coat step, there's some steps. Yeah, there's some steps. Let me just show that really quick. And also, if you make a mistake, you can always go back like this. Alright. And then I am going to use this green and black mixed in together. This green and black mixed together to paint this control panel right here. Alright, and hopefully you guys can see it. The control panel right here, but then that's not it. I'm gonna do a lot more, so just give me one moment. Like because of the position of how this part is, it's kind of hard to like show what I'm doing right now, but trust in the All Father that you could understand what I'm doing. And hopefully you guys understood that reference. Okay. Then similarly, I'm going to add a shading to this as well. But before I do a shading, you don't from what I see in the pilot screen, you don't really have this kind of the entire thing to be green. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to it's like there's like water right there. So I'm going to get the Mechanica Standard Gray, and then I'm trying to envelop it into like a circlish color. So almost like freehanding. But if you're feeling lazy and then you get the reference nice, But I failed them miserably, so change step. You can always do this. I guess it's because I'm streaming right now, it's hard to do. So I'm just going to cover it back up with this green color. Okay. Alright. Okay. So now you have this cockpit right now, and then with a green screen in front to show where the enemy is. Okay. So now I'll apply this Acrylic Earth shade again. This time with like a bigger brush. And then just apply it all over the model. Don't worry about being neat here. Just try not to make sure it doesn't pool in certain areas. So on the side, it's going to be a little bit dangerous, but I'm going to take the risk. Maybe instead of like Acrylic Earth shade, this brownish color, I should have done like a black. But, oh well. I don't expect the pilot, the cockpit to be that clean, So I guess this will be my excuse. Alright. So while this is drying, and I actually have some wet part right here, so I'm just going to scoop it up with like a wet brush. Same thing on the other side, scoop it up with a wet brush. Okay. Alright. Let that dry. And while that's drying, I'm going to finish this pilot right here. So it's actually came out, quite nicely as I expected. So now I'm going to start applying the highlights. So the first highlight will be the Skaven Bright Dinge, which is like a brownish gray, which will be perfect for, this protagonist is like clothed. So I'm going to get my brush again, dip into the paint, put it onto the palette. Okay. And then I guess I'll use a different brush. Right. Oh wait, no, I have this brush. Alright. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to apply a highlight in the most raised areas, so such as his clothes, where his knees are, leaving the recesses behind, his pants, his arm, his neck. And if you want to add a little bit more highlight, I'll grab some of this white from the mixture. This isn't like pure white, so it's almost like a little bit off white. So I'm just going to grab a little bit of this paint, add it into the mixture. And then I'm just going to add a little bit more highlight to the most raised areas just to make this figure a little bit more interesting and make it pop. As such. And same thing on the shoulder, on his knees, in his legs. Right. Where his other pants are. Okay. And because the blend is a little bit rough, I can always go back to my previous paint, thin it down just a little bit more, and then just color over it to smoothen the transition. And because this is a layer paint, by thinning it down and applying it on top, you're actually doing something called glazing. So it blends in the color a little bit better. And as you can see here, the color, his gray attire, like it pops out a little bit more. Alright, I made a mistake there. I was being impatient, so I'm gonna grab a black paint right here. It's contaminated with green, so let me just fix that up a little bit. good. Now I'm going to paint the brown detail, and I'll be using this. Oh, that's a. Okay. Then I'll just apply, just mix it with, a little bit with the previous mixture. Oh wow, it's like really hard to see. Hold on. And then applying to the most raised area, so it'll be the strap right here. Same thing on the other side. The strap right here. The belt buckle. And then just to add another highlight right on top. Okay, the belt buckle as well. And let's not forget his shoes. Alright, so far so good. Now we can also do his skin tone. And then this one, I'll try to be a little bit careful because I don't want to make it, it's a little bit more different process. So I'm gonna put the skin tone right here. Where's my, oh there it is. Alright. Applying the skin tone right here. Skin tone right there. Actually, I made a mistake. I should have distinguished it. And then the facial feature, his nose, his chin, his cheeks. Again, his cheeks, his nose, his chin, his other cheek. And then I'm going to paint the eyes. It's almost like a very thin line, so I'm just going to add a very, very thin line. Hold on. And then it looks kind of weird right now, but then let's see. Then I'll want to paint in the cuticle eyes. All right. Sorry, let me read the comment just in a bit, Gamma. Hold on. Alright. And then I'm going to highlight the hair. So the hair will be simply highlighted with black and white. It's a little bit rough, so let me just sit down like that. And then I guess the hair's a little bit too bright, so let me just thin that a little bit more. Okay, and then hopefully this skin tone color is still wet. Nope, it's dried up. Yeah, like if you notice, like this is such a mundane task, but this is the life of a modeler, and this is why I try to avoid streaming just a little bit because of the fact that whenever you were to stream this kind of content, I can't make it entertaining. But overall, this is what the pilot looks like, and then this is what the pilot looks like right now. And I guess I could add a little bit of skin, like a little bit more depth to the skin tone to make it look interesting. Need to wet my paint a little bit more. Sorry, give me one moment. Let me just finish this guy up. Alright, so right now we have the pilot done. Alright, let's see what you wrote. I need to practice it. Haha, so it will be need so many layers, right, to do the highlight, not only make lighter color in the corner of the corner model. I think I can make a detail because yeah, you know what? The reason why I did it for this guy is just to show a practice, but also I pretty much do this every single day where I paint, figures for other people, and they ask me to do the impossible, such as paint the eyes, or add more detail to their clothing, etc. So multiple practice has made me achieve this kind of skill set. So Gamma, I've seen your work, and honestly though, I definitely think you can do it too. Like don't say that. By the way, you don't have any dreams like working at miniature works company? No, I already work for a company like that, and because I work for a company like that, I have a sweet discount for the products I buy. So yeah, like I already work for a company like that, so I already and the store is kind of sponsored. Like the store I work at for part time is sponsored by Bandai as well. Some of the products, and the company I work for is something like that, so I get like a good discount. And so overall, I'm having a good life. But at the same time, I need to be careful because I buy so much stuff, and my backlog just keeps increasing. All right. And some people do ask me, hey, how do you do this or how do you do that? But um, it's just like a couple people. So this is for those couple people who are curious. And then I'll be making a video soon, hopefully to help those people out. All right. Oh, that's my dream, dude. Huh? I don't know when I can. You know, Okay, so whenever I stream, I just have a hard time like talking, talking slow and consciously. So let me slow down and, speak right. So when I graduated college, I was pretty much, didn't have a job and was constantly looking for what I want to do. And then I knew as a fact I wanted to do this as a job. So I looked online and saw if there were anyone who was willing to hire a painter, and I had some bite, but and then luckily one of the company I asked for hired me as a freelance artist, like an offsite artist. So I painted a bunch of models for them, right? And what's nice is that they look at your profile, as in like they look at your art profile, not your like school profile or anything like that, but pretty much like what you painted, like miniatures or like models you made, etc. And then they see whether, and you do like a short interview, and then you could get the job. But they did warn me how the job wasn't as rewarding, as in like you don't get paid a lot. But to me, who pretty much had no income coming, I was like, you know what? Yeah, I'm completely fine with it. Like, if I could get a job, that what I like to do, sign me up. So I got this job that, I paint miniatures for them. The client would send their models and we would paint their miniatures. So, yeah, it's not a high paying job, but it is a job that I do enjoy. So, yeah, Gamma, for you, I definitely recommend just searching online and seeing if people are interested in, uh, looking for like a commission artist, etc. That's what I did. And honestly, not a, yeah, there's a market out there for sure, and it's just a matter of like advertising yourself, saying that hey, I can do this, etc. Hire me, or let me work on your model, etc. The only downside to painting for other people is that you don't really have a artistic liberty to paint the way you imagine or what you want to do, because you have to paint it the way the client asks you to do. So you might feel a little bit stressed because you can't paint the way you want to, so you just feel unmotivated, um, like no motivation, just feeling lazy and lethargic, etc., and just holding off on the commission for a while. Like, if you have a good work ethics and do tons of commission, then that's good. But if you're not used to painting for other people, you might have that problem. I had several problems like that, but then again, in my case, I had a little bit of artistic creativity to, what do you call it? Um, Try out different things. Like, not necessarily do whatever I want with the customers' models, but try out different techniques to work on their models the way they mention, and then yeah, like have fun painting. And welcome back, man. Honestly, you didn't miss much. I was just almost like finishing up this model right here. But yeah, commission painting is fun and all, but it might feel a little bit stressful if you paint for other people, where you don't have like the creative choice to do whatever you want. It was like that for me for a while, but if you're like kind of forced to do it, and you get paid depending on how much work you get done, yeah, I was like, fuck it, let's do it. All right. So this is a chair right now. Let's see. So this is currently the cockpit. Okay. And then let me just paint up click out the other detail. I just realized that I was so focused on the conversation and on the model, I was kind of painting off screen. So apologies to everyone who was watching very intently on this process right here. Okay, so I'm painting the buttons, and then this is where I wanted to flex on you guys a little bit. So now I'm going to freehand, like a what is that, like a navigation map, or like a like something map. So I'm gonna get this green paint. All right. You can already see the line right there. My problem is my country is the market. There are still less interest payments about miniature in my country, individual or company. The most better opportunity looking at their country, like US, Japan. Honestly, though, if you were in the Europe or in the United States, you will have a better chance. In Japan or Asia, they're more into Gunpla, or scale models, or etc. But the thing about Asia, or like those places, is that most of the people there like to do it themselves, so they're not really interested in having other people do their models. I know that as a fact because um, the only reason why people would hire you is for like advertising. Like pretty much they want you to paint their like the product photo, like figures, mecha, etc. So honestly, if I were to go to Japan, I'm pretty sure I'll be jobless because I know most people aren't interested in having other people paint their models. Right now, I'm writing a text on the screen monitor right here, and then a crosshair. Notice how I'm constantly going back, adding multiple strokes gently, not forcing it, to let the paint touch the surface. And if it doesn't work, just rinse it off, clean your bristle. Oh, GPS, yes, GPS or like a map. So then, um, some strong dots to indicate the enemy. All right. So that's how it is, and then hopefully you guys can see it. But basically, I painted the GPS like I see. But how about sign into big company museum? Is there any chance from your opinion? Yes. Like honestly though, there's no big like the company I work for is like a small company. That's that has enough publicity to have people come in to commission them. Museum, yes, museum. I hear a lot of stories where people, want like models to reenact exactly like you know, like the exact replica of the what do you call it? Like the models used back in the war, etc. So maybe there's a chance right there. Not quite sure because I never been into one, but I have heard several stories from the customers who come into the store where they made several models for the museum, etc. But let's see. So this is the pilot. Let's see. This is the pilot. This is the cockpit. Let's then attach these together. Let's see. And then instead of forcing it with my dirty hands, I'm going to get a Q-tip to gently press this, quote unquote, gently press this into the part. Holy shit. Come on. We don't have to do this a hard way. Why are you not sitting properly, young man? Did they not teach you to sit straight? Okay. Huh. Okay. And there you have it. You have the cockpit and such. So now I can attach this. Let me see. So now I can attach it to the part like this. Okay, it fits. It fits. Yeah, this is like a normal Gundam universe, I think. Not quite sure, but who am I to question Gundams? All right, and put this in. All right. please tell me I didn't need to add, oh no. Okay. So let me just add this in. You know, if the peg doesn't go in, just clip it off. Yeah, it has a hard time like fitting in, so I'm just gonna clip it a little bit more off. And this is usually a problem, you know, with using water-based acrylic paint, because the paint does get a little bit thick, so it's harder for it to fit into the peg. Oh, there it is. Am I fitting this right? Yeah, like what am I doing? So see, this is the problem where, you know, if you're not careful, it will do that. So in this case, let's see. If you chip the paint, don't worry. Just grab the paint of the same color, and then just, you know, paint it again. So in this case it's red, so I'm just going to paint the color red on top. And this is why I like, you know, hand painting, because if you were to like chip the paint, etc., you can always, you know, go back to it like this and you touch it up. Okay. Oh no. See, and this is also a problem with using this red glove, is now I see this red ugly marks. So now I need to clean that up as well. So be careful whenever you know, you're putting the parts together and you have some paint on your hand, because this does happen frequently than most, where, you know, you contaminate the part with the paint you have in your hand. So make sure to clean your hand, or don't have like an ugly glove on your hand. Okay. And actually got it on the edge here too. Frick. Ah. That is a massive bummer. Is this? No. Hold on. Yeah, make sure to get a clean glove. And, you know, honestly, this model was for like demonstration only, so I'm not too, you know, bothered by it. But I'm so bothered enough to like just repaint the entire thing I painted here. So yes, I am bothered. I am bothered. Sorry guys, this would have been done, you know, hours ago, but not hours ago, but a few minutes ago. But it just bothers me so much that I got that red contaminated onto the model. So just give me one moment. Let me just clean this up. And you know, that see, it was easy, right? It like quick fix. And honestly, I'm going to just wash my hands really quick. Be right back. Alrighty, my hands are clean now, so let me just put this back. There we go. Attach the back part. Alright, then I'll just apply a gloss coat, but basically this is the torso of the model. The yellow looks really ugly, so I'm gonna fix that up. But honestly though, you know, then you open up the cockpit. Oh, I didn't put the cockpit. Oh, no, crap. Oh god, damn it. And the peg is like super rock solid. Oh my god. I need a part opener. I'll be right back. I might just call it end today because, oh my god, like really? I just fixed this. Wait, can I insert it from here? Nah, it's not gonna work. Oh my freaking gosh. Oh my god, I broke it. Okay. It's the other side I want to get it off, but it's not getting off. It's like super rock solid hard. What was my effort? Well, I kind of wasted my time like putting that together. Like wow. Can I put it in like this? I guess I can. Hold on. Okay. Okay. Uh, Honestly, this is good enough. Let's just put this cockpit back hatch on. Okay. Yeah, it's unfortunate, but I broke this piece right here. So, one tip, guys, whenever you're putting this back on, make sure you reopen the peg, as in like, because the peg right now is like super tight. So make sure you use a drill to open up the peg a little bit. Alright, good enough. And then there's a backpack here, which I do have it ready. Right. So then, luckily, in the back here, it's like damaged, but then once you put this on top, it should cover it up. There we go. So I might need to clean this up a little bit, like dust it off, clean it up. Got some paint chip marks on it, getting it damaged, but you get the idea. You get the idea, and then this is what the model looks like. I don't understand why this thing in the middle is like keep being wobbly, but overall, you open it up, and you have the cockpit, and everything's well. So basically, every time I make a video, this kind of thing always happens, but you just don't know it because in the video it's only like what, like 1 or 2 minutes, and I try to hide all of my mistakes while I'm doing it. So now you get to see the insider of my daily life of like taking videos. So this is what the chest piece looks like, but overall I think it looks good, right? And then for some reason there's all these dusty crud on the model, which I don't know where it's coming from. It's definitely from my finger, but I think it looks good, right? Right? Be right back. Just emphasizing with I.R.O when building gets whacking problem solving skills, just tested law. Building up, no, yes, F. So yeah, but you know what? What I did right there was that I cut off the part, to adjust it so it fits very nicely in. And now I think this is good enough, but let me just fix up the white a little bit. And then once I'm done with this, I'm going to move on to painting the what do you call it? The Beam Saber, which I think I have time for. Well, it's already 142, but I could manage. Let me just do that. So let me just paint white on here. And this is what's nice about what do you call it, hand painting as well, is that you don't have to worry too much about. Yeah, yeah, like you really don't have to worry. You know, you could always paint parts separately like this, so you have absolute control over where the paint goes. So if you really wanted to, you could have just assembled the entire thing and then painted like this. But in my case, I decided not to and did like this. And then what I'm going to do in the future is I'm going to top coat this, pin wash it, as in like panel line, add decal, and be done with it. But holy crap! Why is there so many like white dirty spots on this? I'm just using water right here to clean it up a little bit. Okay. But that's it. Let me see. I definitely nipped the beam rifle into snub nose gun when building after an 8-hour shift Lamau. I broke a barber's waist joint twice and like 2 fins. What I missed? This is Origin Arc 7. No, this is Ground Gundam, like the Ground Gundam from the 08th MS team. Oh, and just a cool thing is that I magnetized the back part right here, so then uh, it's not going in perfectly, but oh yeah, there it is. So if it wasn't for this, it actually, closes very nicely. Like it's magnetized, so it just does that. Same thing with these ones, but this is like super stiff. So if you're painting Gunpla, I highly recommend instead of like a water-based acrylic to just use lacquer or alcohol-based acrylic like Tamiya or Mr. Hobby, because acrylic paint tends to be really, even though if you were to apply like very thin, it still does this, it still applies a little bit thick compared to rest of it. So you might have a what do you call it, struggle there, which I also have right here. All right, well, it still works out. So I'm going to just leave it open like this, so I can top coat it. Pin wash the details. Clean it up, and then build the rest of the model. I might add some edge highlighting and some weathering, but overall I do like how this looks like right now. All right, so that's that. Okay, so you won't fit in there. All right. So at least that's one disaster I try to avoid. The final step is painting this Beam Saber right here, and you could already tell I'm kind of tired right now after that incident. Oh my god. So Beam Saber, really easy. Let's get it over with. So let me just turn this off. And then turn it back on. Alright, Beam Saber, super simple. This is how you do it. Let me see. Depending on what kind of saber you want, the base coat is very different. But in this case, I want a vibrant color. So do I have that color? Magenta? Yes, I do. So before I paint the magenta this color, I'm going to base coat it in like a darker color, which is Screamer Pink right here. So I'm going to grab this paint. Let me see. So I have a Screamer Pink right here. Okay. And grab this paint, apply it onto the palette, and then start painting. on this Beam Saber is from the Gundam Exia model. And you know how sometimes like the 144 scale kits comes with like a Beam Saber that's not clear plastic but like this kind of one, right? So this is like a small quick demonstration like of what to do. I painted the Russian plastic with cheap acrylics. Well, yeah. So that's the thing. Cheap acrylics are nice, but this is some of the consequences you will have when you're painting with cheap plastic. So yeah, just make sure you have consequences. That consequences is exactly what happened to me. Granted, the Citadel paints aren't cheap acrylics, but there are alternative. I just use that as an example because I know most people ask me, how to hand paint with how to hand paint Gunpla. I will say, in my opinion, I love hand painting with acrylics because they're much more forgiving in my opinion. But I have seen people use lacquer paints, and I definitely would suggest doing that too if you wanna try it out. The only problem I have with lacquer paint is that it tends to dry much quicker than the acrylic paints. So you'll have a lot more brush mark if you're not constantly cleaning up your brush like after every step. So just one more coat and then it should be good. And then I just realized I could have painted with like a larger brush. Okay. I just set it down and then apply it with like a larger brush and then bring the paint towards the end. That's it. Alright, so now we let this dry. Do you need to apply primer on the kit before hand painting? Um, yes and no. I think I did. It's like that's the weirdest question about painting in general, because some paints do peel off if you don't apply primer, and some paints adhere to the surface very nicely if you, even if you don't apply the primer. So it's like experimenting. What works and what doesn't work. In my case, the acrylic paint tends to adhere to the surface very nicely, and same with the lacquer paint. So you don't necessarily need a primer, but it's recommended. I don't know. It's like we use prime. I use primer generally because paint did stick better onto the prime surface than the unprimed surface. But if you're not fiddling around the model too much, then you don't need it either. It's like a weird question, and it's just ultimately it comes down to preference, and that's why if you go onto the internet, they have such mixed opinion about whether you need a primer or not. And some projects do need primer, but it just depends on what works and what doesn't work for you. So it seems irresponsible, but try it out and see what works out for you. Right, then I'll use magenta right here to apply my highlight. And this one I'm gonna apply it like a dry brush, and I kind of applied a little bit too much onto the palette, so hopefully that doesn't ruin this project already. Right. So then I'm going to, this is like the dirt cheap easy way of doing it, and then it's not really necessarily the best way, but I think hopefully you'll get to the point. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to apply this onto the tip and then bring it up forward, and then I'll use the paper towel to help me hold this in place. And remember though is that the beam sabers in the lore tends to be like a particle sword pretty much. So in my opinion, it looks a little bit more faithful um, to the lore if it tends to have like a grainy texture onto it. No, I'm just making that excuse up. Like I'm really making up excuses at this point. But this is what you can do to reenact the beam saber effect. So right now I'm just dry brushing on this color. And then I'm just making it reach all the way to the tip. And honestly though, I guess I could be a little bit more heavy with the dry brush. Oh, and it's peeling off. So that's the thing. If this is a rare instance where because the paint didn't cure um, long enough, it actually peeled off the paint right here. You can always fix it up, but it's one of those rare incidents where the paint does peel off. So let's see. I also did some hand painted detail with metallic aerosol can. The can it was nice because it already comes thin. I sanded my gel glue after cementing seams, then just print with my acrylic water base. Primer also works to have a solid color base to paint over. Need to be able to thin more paint to avoid the brush marks and other dimples from the thick paint. So, if you go back to the beginning of the video of this stream, I did a demonstration of how to paint this white over the black. So this is what it looked like before, and then I painted over the white like this. So if you see me paint this, you see me thin my paint and apply multiple layers. And the trick is to what do you call it? Where's my brush? The let's see. Oh, there it is. So the trick is to not only paint apply the paint thin, but apply the paint thin, and you have to spread it around. Make sure to spread the paint around evenly. And make sure once you spread the paint on that area, never go back to it. Like don't go like 1 2, as in like you can still go 1 2, but after you do that and go to this area like 1 2, never go back to this area because at that point the paint's already drying. So once you touch the other area and then these other areas, leave it alone. Don't ever touch that paint until it's fully dry. Until everything on the surface is fully dry. Once it's fully dry, then go back to it, apply another layer, and then, exact same thing. Once you apply the paint thinly across the surface, don't touch it, wait, and apply layers after layer. And that's how we get this like a smooth surface like this. Okay? Okay, let me just... GW sold this as the dry brushing, brush, but honestly, it's not the best dry brush I have ever had in my life. Alright, so far we got that varying texture and like the screamer pink is like the undercoat, and then you have this thing, right? So now the next step, we're gonna start applying the highlight. So then I'm gonna get some white, and oh boy, the tip is kind of stuck. That is a no-no. Oh, then it comes up. Okay. So now I'm going to, let's see. So now I'm going to mix in a little bit of white into the pink, work it into the bristle like that, dry it off, and then apply it to the Beam Saber. Okay. Then add a little bit more white into the mixture, then start dry brushing it. And as you can notice, dry brushing less and less. So more to the center and a little bit more towards the, the where the handle is. And then add a little bit more white. Sorry, let's see. Is that will make your model thicker with many layers like that? So, they say it'll be thicker, but the funny thing is, even if you apply multiple layers, if it's thin, it's actually so thin. Like the real professional painters will apply multiple layers and they'll be super thin. So, and that requires incredible amount of patience to build up the layers, but like layers of incredibly thin paint. So in that case, don't worry about it too much. And then let's see, can these mixing techniques and layering be done with Gundam Marker, ULF flow, and paint dish? So that's the thing with Gundam Marker is that I've never been successful in like mixing paint too much with those, darn markers. Like, and that's the reason why I don't really like Gundam Mark. Like you could try it out. I haven't had much success with it, but that's why Gundam Markers, in my opinion, tends to be more for like just for fun, than for like an actual like a serious like a project. Huh, this looks really ugly. Honestly, not my best work, but I guess it kind of sells. All right, and then let me just. Honestly, though, this might be the my failed attempt because I really don't like how this is coming out. Honestly. So remember, folks, I do make mistakes, just like I'm doing right here. So take my advice as a grain of salt, if you may, and then check out other people's work, and always remember to like keep experimenting, like constantly experiment, even if it costs your own kit, and see what works the best for you. That's the best advice I can give you. Is that don't just listen to me. Like check out other people's work, how they do it, and see what works. And because honestly, this Beam Saber I think is like a total failure. Like it worked last time, but yeah, like this isn't really working. Yeah, so but you do get what I'm trying to do, right? So basically, at the tip, you'll have this light gradation going on that darkens down as it goes down. So normally it's supposed to be much more smoothly blended, but because I don't have the proper dry brushing, because I don't have the proper dry brush brush, the effect doesn't look as good. So unfortunately, this was a failure. But you get the idea of what I was trying to do, where I was up, I was trying to create this gradation going on. Right. So if I were to do it very roughly, this is what I was trying to do, where I was trying to do like a smooth blending from the very bright point right here down over there. So let me just get the brush again. All right. So you get the idea right here. So this effect would have sold more if the dry brushing was much better, but then let's to but paint the beam saber effect. You'll have a bright. You basically base coat it. The dark paint. Add the vibrant color of whatever you like green, blue, purple, red, or something like that. In terms of red, it'll be like this color. Then you slowly work your way up towards to here, and once you reach here, you want to make it almost like a not a pure white, but almost like a like a almost white to indicate this is the hottest part in the beam saber. So then from a distance, from a distance, it sells the effect. But once you get close, you see how ugly it looks. As in like it's not the best I've done, but you get the idea. So hopefully this will be like a like you could use this as a reference for whatever project you want to do. But that is it for today's streaming. Sorry it took a while, so let's see. I see new task alert. I must start the paint manually. It's a thank you for the info. Definitely gonna try on my H3 drawing. I have some different browns to experiment. There's a acrylic paint called Dragonfly Glaze that has like the sheen effect that may look good on beam sabers. So yeah, definitely. So that's what I mean. Try out different paint. Some people say this is better, this is best, this is what. Try not to get fooled into that. Always constantly try out different paint, and unfortunately, that's gonna cost you money. But I think it's like a worthy investment because you're trying out different paint, trying out different product, trying out different techniques to find your method of what you think works out the best. And in this lesson, hopefully I showed like a different techniques of doing things and showed you my failures and some of the bad things that make you guys become a better modelers, which I'm also trying to become a better modeler as well. But thank you so much for watching, you guys. In terms of my I'll try to what do you call it, I'll try to record the video, no, not record the video, I'll try to edit the videos that I did today in a short video. And in terms of my next stream, I'll probably be, what do you call it? I'll probably like just do like build something just for fun kind of streaming, and not this kind of like technical stream, because I think most of you guys are at a step where you guys are good enough, or really maybe better than me in doing something. So now it's just a matter of like just experimenting and see what works out for you guys. So thank you so much for watching, you guys. Thank you so much for sticking around for this long. And it's good to see you guys too. I don't get to stream that often, but it was really nice talking to you guys. And thank you so much. The support is very appreciating, and hope to see you guys next time. I don't know when that next time is, but if I see you guys, then catch you then. Take care. Bye bye.